yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video is our Fuzzy Peppermint Pillow. It's the perfect project for our Friday Fun Day. This is just an adorable pillow. It's made with a peppermint swirl on the front and the back, and we added buttons to tuck it in, and of course this lovely, easy, lacy trim. I think it kind of gives it an old-fashioned look. Now, when I was discussing this with my husband, I told him I was going to make a fuzzy peppermint pillow, and he said, like those peppermints at the bottom of your purse? I do have a few of those sometimes because I always keep peppermints with me because my mouth gets dry. But this one is way better than any peppermint at the bottom of my purse. It is just adorable. It's soft and fuzzy, perfect for Christmas decorating or whatever you want to use it for. It measures 12 by 12 inches, so it's a nice size pillow to add in with all of your decorations. And it's made with super bulky 6 blanket yarn, so it stitches up really fast. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. Alrighty, so to make our peppermint pillow, you're going to need some bulky, super bulky number 6 blanket type yarn. Now I am using some Bernat blanket that I had on hand. I actually used these two to make a stocking 5 or 6 years ago, and I still had some left, and I thought it would be super cute for my peppermint pillow. All right, this one here is a variegated white. It's called wispy white. It's got shades of like beiges and whites in it, really pretty. And then this one is just called cranberry variegated, and it's got some deeper reds and some lighter reds. And I thought it was a really neat idea to use it for this project because we're using both colors throughout the circle of our pillow. All right, now you can use any yarn that is a super bulky number 6 yarn. You're going to need about 4 ounces of each color because we're going to do a front and a back, and then of course the trim. This is just one of the circles that we're going to make, so the trim isn't on it just yet. All right, then you're going to need some buttons because we're going to put a button in the center of the front and the back. And I've chosen these two, I think, but I haven't decided yet because I like these as well, and I may just use them together. That might look kind of cute as well. I haven't decided, but you're going to need 2. This is a 1 inch, this is an 1.5 inches. So you can use anywhere from a 1 inch to even bigger. Just check in your button stash. See if you've got just some fun Christmas buttons or some nice round colorful ones. Okay? And you know what? You could use green or yellow. Doesn't have to be the same color. Just something that you like. I'm really pulling towards these two because they're 2 different shades of red. I may use those. I think those would look nice, but I haven't decided yet. We're going to be stitching today with our end hook, which is a 9mm end hook. Now, sometimes when you pull out a 9, it'll say 10mm. The Boy brand, B-O-Y-E, is the hook that I have here, and it is an N9mm. It works perfect for this. And I have 2 needles out here because you're going to need the bigger needle to weave in your ends on your blanket yarn, but I've got this small needle because I'm going to use this red to sew on my buttons. Unless I decide on the white, then I'll get some white, and that's just a medium weight number 4 yarn for sewing on the buttons. You're going to need your scissors, and of course you're going to need some stuffing. I'm just using some stuffing I have on hand, but if you want to get a pillow form that's a circle, this is a 12-inch pillow. So you could probably use a 12-inch pillow form. You can purchase the round ones at Hobby Lobby and Joann's, I think. Also Michael's. Give them a call. They'll tell you if they have them. But I'm just using regular polyester fiber fill. All right, let's get started. We're going to be making 2 circles, exactly the same, a front and a back. And so I have one made, and now we're going to make the second one so that I'll have 2. I'm going to be starting with my red color, but you'll notice I have my white here as well. And you know you can make these in other colors as well. You don't have to go with just red and white. You could do green and white or any color that you wanted to. All right, so we're going to start with our color 1. Make our slip knot and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to join this into a circle. And snug that down and make that stay knot. Now, if you want to use a magic circle or another method to make your beginning circle, you certainly can. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go in our circle, pull up a loop, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. That counts as 1 double crochet, and now we're going to stitch 3 double crochets in the circle. 1, 2, and now this is my third one, but I'm going to be changing color, so I'm only going to go through the first 2 loops. Then I'm going to grab my white and finish that loop with the white. We're going to leave the red attached. Now we're going to leave the red attached, and we're going to stitch 4 double crochets with our white yarn. One, 2, 3, and 4. Now on this 4th one, we're going to yarn over, go through the next 2, but we're going to finish with our red yarn. This gives you a complete stitch for your 4. Okay, get some more yarn out here. Now we're going to stitch 4 double crochets with our color 1, which is my reddish variegated yarn. Now it's going to be a tight fit because we got to get them all in there. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yep, this is my 4th one. So we'll finish off with the white. And we're going to stitch 4 more white double crochets. 1, 2. Oh, got a little tangle there. There we go. 3. Now we've stitched 3 of our white ones on our last ones, and we're going to go ahead and start our 4th one. We're going to bring back in our red. We're going to join to that first chain 3, and you'll notice I've pulled that white across there to get it up there. And now we're not going to chain 3 yet. We're going to slip stitch in the next double crochet and then chain 3. All right, now we have a hole there, and we'll need to close that up with this strand of yarn, but I'll do that in just a second. But I want to talk about what we've got going on here. All right, so we started with 4 double crochets. We changed colors and did 4 white. We changed colors, did 4 in our color 1, changed colors, and finished with 4 white. Then we slip stitched in the chain 3 and then slip stitched in the first double crochet. And we're doing that because it's going to start swirling a little bit and not just be these stark triangles. They're going to swirl. And that's the way we'll be doing each of our rows, is we'll slip stitch to the next one. Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab my needle, my inside thing came in, and I'm going to weave in this end, and then we'll do row 2. There we go. Alrighty, I'm going to weave this around and close up that hole in the center. Even though we're putting a button there, we do not want a hole in the center of our pillow. And I know that blanket yarn can be just a little bit challenging to work with, but it also works up quickly and you get results super fast. And I just loved this when I was first designing it. I just loved it so much. There we go. All right, so now we close the hole up and we have 4 times 4, which is 16 double crochets. All right, and when we change colors, we're not going to stitch over our yarn on this project. What we're going to do is we're going to let our colors trail across on the back side of our work. And the reason we're doing it this way is this is going to be on the inside and it's going to be a pillow, and we just don't want those colors showing through. All right, but we don't want to have to cut it every time we change colors. All right, so row 1, 16 total double crochets, because we have 4, 8, 12, 16 double crochets. All right, I know row 1 might have seemed a little bit confusing, but once you've got that figured out, the rest of it's super easy. All right, so for row 2, we're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2. And then this next one, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. And that next one is the first one in that next color. 1 and 2. All right. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now we don't want to finish that last color because we're bringing back in our white. And so we'll finish that last double crochet with our next color. Now we're just going to drop our color 1 and we'll go to the first stitch here and stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And then we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And remember, on that second one, we're going to change back to color 1. So we'll stitch 1, and then we'll start our second one, and then we'll finish with our color 1. And so I'm going to grab it from over here and just pull it over. There we go. And what you want to do is you want it to drape, but you don't want it to be too drapey, but you also don't want it to pull. So that's something you're just going to have to learn as you go along. All right. Now, if you prefer to stitch over them, you can. I just didn't want to for this project. Since it was going to be on the inside of the pillow, it wouldn't show. All right. So now we're back to color 1, and we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Some more yarn out here. 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And then 2 double crochets in the next, and we're going to change colors on that second double crochet. So we'll grab up our white, our color 2, snug it down, and then just repeat 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2. Some more white out here. And they will get a little tangly because we're switching back and forth. So you'll probably have to untangle them every now and then. All right, and then this next stitch is going to be where we stitched a slip stitch in that first stitch. Excuse me. All right. I do have a little bit of a scratchy voice today. Sorry about that. All right, so here's my second one. I'm going to grab back up my color 1, and then we're going to slip stitch in that chain 3, and then slip stitch in the next stitch and chain 3. All right, let me untangle a little bit here. There we go. And this is the way that row 2 should look. We have 6, 12, 18, 24 double crochets. Super cute. All right, let's do row 3. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing. We're just going to have more stitches in between. All right, so we're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. Then we're going to stitch 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets. Then in the last one, which is the first one of the next color, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. All right, so that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to have 8 of each color. All right, so let me take out that last 2 loops there because I need to change to my white or my color 2. Again, you can do these in whatever colors that you want. I'm just sticking with Christmas colors. All right, so now we'll go to our first stitch of our white and stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. Then we'll stitch 1 in the next 4. 1. Getting tangled up there. 2. 3. 4. And then 2 in the next, which is the first one of the next color. So we'll do our first one. Then we'll begin our next one and finish with our next color. All right. So you can see how that's going to work. And then we'll just repeat that on these last 2 colors. So I've stitched this all the way around. We've got 8 of each of the colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here I've changed colors on my last one. I'm going to join to that chain 3. There we go. And then slip stitch in the next one and chain 3. There we go. All right, so let's take a look at row 3. So we've got 8, 16, 24, 32 double crochets, but we have 8 of each of our 4 sections. And again, we slip stitched in the chain 3, then slip stitched in the next stitch and chained 3. And I think you can already see how it kind of swirls to sort of give it that peppermint look. All right, now we're ready for row 4. And it really is the same. It's just we have more stitches on our sections. All right, so here's our chain 3. We're going to drop our white yarn, our color 2. We're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then we'll stitch our 2 double crochets in our next color. So double crochet, Then we'll start our double crochet and finish it with our color 2. And again, I'm just draping them across. I'm not stitching over them because that's the inside of our pillow. All right, so then we have our color 2, and we'll start with 2 double crochets. And then we'll stitch 1 in each of those 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we'll stitch our 2 double crochets in the first double crochet of our next color. And so we'll stitch our first one, we'll start the second one, and finish with our color 1. Drop that first or that second color there. There we go. And stitch 2 double crochets of the next color. All right, and we'll just repeat this around, but I do want you to notice that it is going to curl a little bit because we're stitching our stitches a little bit tight so we don't see that stuffing show through. But also, the way that we're stitching, it's going to naturally cause that. And that's okay. We kind of want the pillow to pooch a little in the middle, so that's perfectly fine. All right, so we're just going to finish these 2 sides here and join back here like we usually do. I have now completed row 4. And isn't it cute already? I just love the way that it sort of swirls around. All right, let's do row 5. And it really is just the same. We've slip stitched to the chain 3, then slip stitched into the next stitch. So we're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And now we're going to stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. All right, so 1 in each of the next 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then in that next stitch, which is in the next color, we're going to stitch 2. So here's our first one. And again, we're going to change colors. So we'll grab up that white, being careful not to pull it too tightly. Drop the color 1, and then 2 double crochets in our first, there we go, stitch. Actually, it's the second stitch of the next color because of course our red one is in the first. All right, so now we have 2, and then we have 8 and 2 more. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So each of our color sections are going to have 12 double crochets. All right, and so we'll just repeat this, changing colors. And again, we're going to join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch, then slip stitch in the next stitch. We have completed row 5. And you'll notice it is a little poochy in the middle, and it's okay. I like it that way. It's just the nature of it because it does swirl. All right, so we joined to our chain 3, then we slip stitched in the next stitch, and this time we only chained 1. And now we're going to cut off our white yarn. Okay? All righty. And what we're going to do now is for row 6, we're just going to stitch a row of single crochet around the edge. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to place 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in the next 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you can see that's just going to give us a nice edge for when we put the two circles together. All right, so now we'll just repeat that. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet in each of those single crochets for 10 single crochets. So we'll do 2 and 10, repeat all the way around. So I have completed that single crochet trim all the way around this one. And then this is the first one that we made because you need 2. So repeat rows 1 through 6 so that you have 2 circles. All right. And we're going to take those 2 circles and put them together with the right sides out. All right. Now we tied off the first one, but the second one we're leaving a loop because we're going to join back in our white yarn. All right, so we're going to join back in our white yarn. And we've got the 2 circles together with the right sides facing out. And you can line up the colors if you want to. I really wasn't that worried about it. All right, and so all we're going to do is we're going to place a single crochet in each of the single crochets around. And we're stitching the front and back together, and we're going to do this all the way around. We're going to leave an opening so we can stuff it, and then we're going to add a little lacy trim on the edge just to make it super cute. All right, so I'm just placing a single crochet in each of the single crochets, stitching the front and back together. And remember, you need to have the right sides facing out because we're not going to turn it over. And just in case you're wanting to see, on the inside you can see where I carried all of that yarn and just left it there because it's not going to be seen. And it makes a nice, neat pillow. All right, so I'm just working around the edge, stitching the front and the back together with single crochet stitches. I've single crocheted around the edge. I left a hole. I like to pull that loop a little bit big so I don't lose it because we need that to stay attached. Kind of loosen up some of my stuffing. It was at the bottom of the box there. All right, and we're just going to stuff it. And you want it to be a little bit poochy. I like to make sure I go around the edges first and then fill in the center. And the amount of stuffing that you use is totally up to you. And, you know, it really just depends on what I'm doing, how much stuffing I put into things. I love that. I think that's a great amount, all right? So I stuffed it. And now I'm just going to finish single crocheting around this edge to close it off. Once you finish single crocheting though, don't cut your yarn because we're going to put a little fun trim on the edge just to make it super cute. I closed up that hole where I added the stuffing. I slip stitched in the same single crochet where I started, and now I'm going to chain 3. We're going to skip the next and single crochet in the next and chain 3. Then we'll skip the next, single crochet in the next and chain 3. And that's our fun little trim that we're adding to the edge. I think it just adds just a little extra fun to our pillow. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, skip the next, single crochet in the next, and we'll do this all the way around. And then when we get the trim finished, I'll show you how to add those buttons. Isn't that just cute? It just adds a little extra fun, looking kind of like the wrapper of our peppermint candy. So I worked my way all the way around doing that fun little lacy trim, and then I joined to that first stitch and cut my yarn. And now we're going to tie this off, and I need to grab my big needle. And then the last thing we're going to do is add the button that goes in the center. Now, if you don't want to add that button, you don't have to. I just kind of like the way it gives it a little bit of a different look. But it's totally up to you if you want to add the button. Or I should say, buttons. And I have decided to use these two red ones. This one's a little darker than this one, but I'm using a variegated yarn here, so I think either one of them is totally fine. All right, so if you want to add the button, this is what you do. You go in the back, and you come all the way up through the center of the front. And we're going to leave a little bit of a tail there. And now we're going to go back in and make sure you don't go in the same hole or you'll just be pulling your yarn through. Okay, now I want to leave that attached. And I want to pull on this just a little bit. So I'm going to go like this, pull on it just a little bit to bring it in. And see how that pulls that in? All right, so now I'm going to take this, we're going to set that aside, and we're going to use the two buttons. So I'm going to come up with this one and go in, and then we'll come back up this side. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. And go back in. Forgot to cross it. We're crossing it. There we go. All right, and then we're going to come up this way. And then go back in. And the big trick actually is making sure you get in the buttonholes. There we go. That's why you wanted to use a stronger yarn that you know isn't going to come out. All right, and we'll do that a couple of times just so we make sure. And like I said, the hardest part is just getting that needle up through the buttonholes. There we go. This time we're not going to come up through a buttonhole. We're going to just come next to it on the back side here. Give it a good yank. And now we're just going to tie it. Give it 3 good buttons, or 3 good ties, not 3 good buttons. Oh goodness. And then we'll be real careful not to cut our pillow when we cut those strings. There we go. So now my peppermint pillow is tucked in the middle. So this is our peppermint pillow with a button and a little lacy edge. Isn't that just adorable? And it's cute on both sides. This is going to look so cute in all of your Christmas decorations.